Hello everyone, I go by Zuziaolan or Shushiaolan. I'm the creator of the Giant Specimens custom enemy mod for Lethal Company. It aims to create more outside enemies in the form of giants, because who doesn't like giants? I love giants and mechas. Anyways, I'm here to show people my process and show how easy it is to make a custom enemy. It's only a matter of patience in my opinion. This tutorial will be split up into a few portions. Firstly, the Blender portion of creating the enemy. Feel free to skip this part if you already have a modeled and rigged enemy with the animations that you want. Then we'll be going on to the Unity portion, just some basic stuff to make sure that our enemy will actually be able to register into the game itself. And then finally we'll be going into the code portion, making some basic code for the enemy. Nothing too complicated, we just want to make sure we can view it in game and that it can actually move around and do stuff. Just some basic stuff, nothing too complicated for this tutorial. You might see me switching around between the Unity portion and the code portion for making the enemy. This is because both those parts of the tutorial are very highly linked. You're usually going to make changes in both of them at the same time, and yeah. So the first step in making the enemy is starting out by finding a reference image or reference of for what I need to model. This can be found by looking through the internet for reference images, making your own, or if you don't need a reference image, then feel free to use your imagination. Now for the second part of the tutorial is starting out by finding a reference image or reference of for what I need to model. This can be found by looking through the internet for reference images, making your own, or if you don't need a reference image, then feel free to use your imagination. Now for the second part of the tutorial, after finishing your Blender animation and your Blender mesh, and you've animated it and given it proper animations, you'll want to go to this link right here. I'll be putting it in the description. This is Hamunii's example enemy template. This is what we will be using as a template to put into the game for our enemy. We're just gonna first head on to Visual Studio Code. You're gonna make a new file, and then you're gonna press clone from GitHub, and you're gonna copy this link and you're gonna put it right here. Just give it a second. Oh, maybe without the yes. Oh. There it is. Just like that. Ignore the tree and main. Just like that. And then you're gonna go onto your folders. You're gonna make a new folder. Let's call this a tutorial project. Let's go ahead on here, and then this is your repository destination. This is where all of the mods files will go. It's gonna ask you if you'd like to open it. Press yes, and this is where we start the setup. From here on, we shall follow the README from this GitHub. So the first step is starting over with the project setup. So you're gonna go to the command line. You just click view, and after you click the three arrows, go to terminal. You're gonna type Python setup project.py, and it's gonna ask you for your full Lethal Company path. the little company map path comes from your Steam path. So you're gonna go on to Steam, you're gonna find the game right here, you can right click, go to manage, browse local files, and I'm just gonna find the repository on my other screen. You're gonna go from the main file and just copy that like this. It's gonna do some file stuff, and then it's gonna ask you for the path where it will copy the mod. So the way I do this is I go on to Thunderstore or R2Modman, and I already have a profile set up for custom enemy testing that I do when I make a custom enemy. So go to it, then you're gonna go on to, you're either gonna create or go on to a profile, and when you enter the profile, you're gonna want to install a few mods. You're gonna install Hookgen Patcher, you're gonna run it once, close it, and then you're gonna go on to settings, browse profile folder, and you're gonna check specifically what it wants. It wants the plugins, up to plugins. So you're gonna go here, 11x, plugins, and you're gonna copy this and you're gonna paste it here. And that should be it. That should be fine. Close. Note that there might have been some extra steps I skipped due to having done this before. Just make sure you follow the README. It has exactly what you need. Next, we're gonna do the second step of the README, which is renaming the project into our own project. To do this, do the following. You're gonna press this, and you're gonna think of, you're gonna type example enemy, all with E and E capital. You're gonna press match case, and then you're gonna think of what your mod's name should be. This is just a tutorial, so it's gonna be tutorial Squid, and replace all. Should be fine to do that. And then example enemy, all lowercase. Doesn't look like there's anything. Example enemy, uppercase, sorry, with space, and these should be miscellaneous things such as the README for the example enemy itself, and then there's some file names such as here. We have namespace tutorial Squid AI, which still says example enemy here. These shouldn't matter too much. If you want to change them, you'll change them as you go on, as you read the code. But for now, just change this one to just change it to tutorial Squid. Actually, you might not want to do that because there are files here that you don't want to change off. So go to this one, tutorial Squid, and then you're gonna want to go to the README. Tutorial Squid. So spell that. You're going to delete these anyway and replace them with your own, so it's fine if you remove them now because you're gonna replace them, change them, and just make sure Squid. Tutorial Squid. So spell it again. Right here, tutorial Squid. Oops. Is that it? Yes, that is it. This README is from the Hamunii's project, so we don't have to mess with it, we don't have to touch it. It's not important. And now we go on to plugins. Actually, it is much easier to just press reveal in File Explorer and do it like this. First, delete the .git file so you can make your own repository, and then you're gonna want to, where is it? Right here. You're gonna just want to check, right, just check randomly through all the files, and now you're gonna want to go through all the folders, checking for anything that's still example enemy, such as this. We don't need this. I tend to just delete this one. This one isn't required. You can just delete the folder actually. And then you go to plugins.config, nothing about example enemy here. Bin, debug, that's standard, nothing here. Object, so you'd want to delete these because they are about example enemy. Debug, not standard, delete. these. Then you're gonna go to source, example enemy AI. You're gonna want to rename this one to tutorial Squid or whatever your project's called. You're also gonna want to rename this one tutorial Squid. I have it open in the background, that's why it's not letting me. Let me close the Visual Studio and reopen it again. So that close the file. You can enter it. You can check one final look, see if there's anything. You'll notice that these are still example enemy. You're gonna change these to tutorial Squid, making sure you only change this part, the example enemy part. Like for this one, the CS proj, do not edit the CS proj, just the example enemy. And Thunderstore packages looks all fine. And then you're gonna close that, go back to tutorial Squid. Where is it? Tutorial Squid, there it is. And then you're gonna go on to the CS proj, making sure you change a few things, such as mod assets. You can double click it. You can Control D to select both, and you're gonna change it to all lowercase tutorial Squid assets, or whatever your project name assets. And then you're gonna want to go to the SLN, making sure tutorial Squid. These are what will point to the files. Tutorial Squid, that's fine. And then you're gonna go here and you're gonna put stuff to your name. So instead of Hamunii, double click, Shift D, Control D, select both, change that to DC Outlet, or whatever your project is called, whatever your name is. And then you're gonna go down, and there should be nothing else to change here. It's all fine. This is what we're using, lethal lib from Aveja. And then we're gonna go on to source, config, and just checking any final values. Looks fine. And yeah. Oh, bundle name, change that from mod assets to tutorial Squid assets. Just in case, let's just look over for mod assets. Any mention of mod assets, such as, oh, of course, case specific. You're gonna want to change that from mod assets to tutorial Squid assets. For here, we don't care about this. This is the setup project. We can just ignore this. From here, we're gonna change this one to tutorial Squid assets. And here, this one doesn't really matter. You can ignore it. You can ignore these as well, because you're gonna be deleting these or changing the asset bundle. So this is fine. Any left over, for example enemy, nope, this is good. Go here, removing these, go to plugin. So this is how the enemy is loading the different terminal nodes, keywords, and an enemy type. And this is where we register the enemy, like this. Tutorial Squid, which is the enemy's enemy type that we're loading from our asset bundle. And then we have the config right here. We're loading the config, spawn rate.value, which is this. The value is 20. I prefer to organize like this. Yeah, like this, or like this. Yeah. So this is gonna be the, let me bring it up. This is gonna be the main category that the config is gonna be under in Thunderstore. This is the subcategory. This is the value you put in, and this is the description for it. Both of these. LN just means it's a line break, so it looks neater. And this is how you make the config entry, and this is how you set it for the user. Next, you're gonna want to go into the tutorial Squid AI, or whatever AI it is, and you're gonna, this is mostly already set up for you for example enemy. This is not for you. well, it is for you, but it's for example enemy, not your enemy. So you're gonna have to edit a lot of this code. I recommend keeping these as it is for now, and then I'm gonna set the states. Searching for player, that's fine, and I'm gonna add a state chasing player, and for now this enemy is gonna be 2 states. It's gonna search for the player, it's gonna chase the player, and here a 3rd state, zapping area, where it will randomly zap the area. And next, you can keep these fine. Let's just get rid of things we don't need. Time since hitting local player, don't care about that. Start walk, this is normal to keep. Keeping that. Just messing with the code, removing things we don't want. These are for randomness in the enemy's position. We don't really need it. This is how you make the random. You can keep this if you'd like. I'm just gonna remove it. I'm just calling code. Did animation done? False. I don't need any of these. This is basically setting the state, but we're gonna send to behavior client RPC, and we're gonna write this, and you're gonna delete this. The host basically owns the enemy, so any changes that you want to make to the enemy, as the code is constantly running for the host, any important changes like animation, you'll only want to run them from the client. You don't have to worry about server RPCs. It's just client RPCs. And now we deal with the enemy. If the enemy is dead, I would recommend just returning. All these are, for example, enemy. We don't need these, so you can just keep like this, and then you can get rid of this. And now I'm just reading over the code, making sure that I want any of this. Let's get the state. For now, I'm just gonna delete all this code. I don't believe I'll need it. This is fine and normal. Keeping it like this. And now this is the switch behavior statement in do AI interval, and we're going to set the speed. This is going to be the normal walking speed. I feel that 2 is fine, and even better for our enemy. And since one of our states is chasing player, it's gonna need something to find the player. Luckily, that's already a function in example enemy, so we don't have to change anything about this code. This code just checks if the player is nearby within 25 meters, or not meters, 25 units of distance, and this checks if it doesn't find a player in its line of sight within 25F. Then it checks if there's any player within 3F, whether it's behind it or anything. It just senses that player. There, we want to change the state from sticking in front of player to chasing player, because that's our state. And we're going to remove this, and we're going to change it to chasing player. And this is the speed for the chasing. Preferably, I like to do 2F times 2. Let's just say that when it's chasing, the enemy is 2 times faster. You could obviously set this to 4 or whatever your animation is. And from here, it stops the search. The search just means that it's randomly looking for nodes. When you stop the search, it stops looking for nodes, and it switches to this behavior. And this switching, this behavior state doesn't need to move to random nodes, because it constantly targets the player using this line of code, or this line of code, which sets the destination. But this uses some randomness, and it might just be better to use the exact code for simplicity's sake. Set destination to position. Right here we're going to write target player, that transform that position, because we know where the player is from our line of sight here. This sets the target player, and we can just set the destination here, and the enemy will follow the target player as long as it's targeting someone, and as long as the distance doesn't go over 20 meters and they still have line of sight to the player's position. And here we're just gonna make this the zapping state, and we're just gonna do agent.speed equals 0f. We're just gonna say that if it's in this state, it just stops moving, so it goes to 0f. Doesn't need to go anywhere. I'm gonna write a comment to do just zap the surrounding area. And that's what I want the enemy to do for this state. And then we're just looking over some functions. We need this one, we need this. We got rid of this, so I can delete this code. There's not going to be a swing attack, so we can just remove this. Now if you have any logic with colliding with the player, you can keep most of this function. You can read it and see what it does. You definitely need this part, but you don't need this. We're going to get rid of this. So my enemy will have logic colliding with the player, where it switches the state into the zapping state. So right here, tutorial Squid collision with player, and we do the following: switch behavior client RPC zapping area, and then we're going to start an animation to animation client RPC start zap. That's what I'm going to call it. Whoops. And then I remembered to go back and change this set trigger to do animation client RPC. It's generally just good practice to make it client RPCs rather than set triggers. This is because at the bottom of our code we have a client RPCs that changes the animations when we call it with a trigger name. Now we can get rid of this because we also don't need this function. And this function is for hitting the enemy. We're going to keep this part. So you want to get rid of this useless comments, unless you want to read them and see what they do. But yeah, what you're checking here is that for the owner of the enemy, which is likely to be the host, always, so you can replace it with an is host, but you don't need to. So what this check does, it checks for the owner, which is the host likely, the HP of the enemy. If it's less than 0, and if the enemy is not dead yet, then apparently the game does not stop the search coroutine by default, so we're going to keep this code, but we can remove the following. And that should be some basic normal code for my enemy. I'm just going to write another function. Oops. I'm going to write a public void and just do zap area. So for now I create this function. I'm not going to do anything with it. It's going to be called when this animation starts using animation events. But this is going to be the function that creates a sphere around the enemy, which deals damage to anything inside that sphere periodically. After that, let's do one more function with damage per second. It's just gonna be public void. This is gonna be called like this for each player. Control would be player in start of rounds instanced all player scripts. It will check the distance between our enemy and the player, and if that distance is, let's say, 10f, if they're within 10f, then we're gonna do player damage player. Let's do 5 damage. It's gonna deal 5 damage. Particle effect. So I'm gonna make it a to do. Particle effect is zapping. We're gonna be calling the damage players per second in our start zap animation. So now we move on to the third part of this tutorial, which is the Unity project. So I'd like to open up Unity, and this step can take a long time because Unity is very slow and is prone to crashes with lethal company. And you can see Unity is up now. So I'm gonna do add project. I'm gonna go to where my tutorial Squid is, the tutorial project, tutorial Squid. I'm gonna press Unity project, go in, and then press open. And this is gonna automatically open this Unity project. Again, it's gonna take like 5 minutes to load. It takes a long time. And then we're going to go here. You're gonna delete this prefab, and then you're gonna pull your prefab right here. We're still not done, so take this collision. This is where our enemy will collide with, say, the player. Press 0 to reset it. Tap 0 or reset the transform. Move it around a bit. Go look from up. Oh, it's too shiny, I can't see. Look from down then. This looks fine, just move a bit. Oops. But it's a bit finicky sometimes. Move a bit here, like this. And then scale it as you see fit. This. Yeah, this looks fine. Perfect. I'm gonna bring it down and then scale it up some more. Yep, this is perfect. So now include it in as a child. You can get rid of turn compass, you do not need that one. You can get rid of turn area because you have collision, if you're assuming your collision is your attack area. You're gonna keep these two, just reset the positions. Personally, I like to have creature sound effects be near the bottom of the feet, because I would like to have like be footsteps on that when I do make footstep sounds. And then creature voice, reset the position, and I'll put that near the mouth. It depends where you want to put it, what sounds, where the sounds you want to make are. Just make sure the settings for each sound source are like this. You don't need an audio clip, but change the output to diegetic master for voice, for both of them. Let me just put as a child, diegetic master, and then go right here, 3D sound settings. Make sure this is all the way to the right, spatial blend, and this is fine. Put this minimum distance of 0. And go to here, do the same thing. And then the eye, you're gonna reset the position of that. So after resetting the position of the eye, you're gonna drag it up, put it somewhere near the head. Just right here looks fine. Yeah, it's perfect. And parent it in there. Now you're gonna press here, you're gonna press override, and you're gonna apply it all. Next, you're gonna rename these into Tutorial Squid Animator and Tutorial Squid Object. This is the enemy type object. Changing the name to Tutorial Squid. Should keep it like this, no spaces. There's a guide and little wiki for what these values mean, so I recommend you check that out instead. The prefab, which is this, just drag it up here. Power level I'll keep to 1. Max count I'll put to 4. Then there's some nest stuff if you'd like. There wants to be an outside or daytime. If you don't take these, it turns automatically into an inside enemy, and I'll leave this into an inside enemy. I'll put this at 100 because it's not a daytime enemy. This is an option for daytime enemies. There's some stun stuff left over from example enemy. I'll just keep these as they are. Can die. Actually, I gotta check the code if I allowed it to die. Yeah, I allowed it to die. That's fine. So keep that as it is. Player push force. I like to just mess with these values. I don't believe I know what they do. They're not in the wiki. They're very new values with version 50, so you can keep them at 0 if you'd like. As far as I know, not many enemies use them, if any. And now, you may put some sound effects for vent. If you'd like to change the normal vent sound, the loudness multiplier, 0 is likely to be unused if it's 0, and it's how long it takes to play that audio. And this is for nest prefabs, if you like a nest, whatnot. The sound effects done. I don't have any sounds currently, so I will not be putting any. So this is, I'm gonna leave this as it is, and I'm gonna start work on the enemy. So first, we're gonna create a collider. Create a box collider in the main parent in the prefab, so that if you like interactions with old birds and enemies that hit other enemies in vanilla, we need these. I'm just gonna scale it down. Oops, thing. Change the size. 1 for X should be fine. In fact, you don't want to change it more than this, but move it a bit to the right. 0.5. Try to center it. That looks fine. And then increase the Y so that it covers the whole enemy. 10, 11. Yeah, that's fine. And put the height up a bit. Perfect. So now we're gonna add components that the enemy needs as well, such as nav mesh agent. These components are also in the wiki. I'm gonna be opening the wiki and checking it now to see what values I need. I can't remember them off the top of my head. And here we're going to actually go back to our code. We're gonna first, before we go back to our code, we're gonna go to our prefab. We're gonna put it into a. Actually, we're gonna go to this asset. This is the old asset bundle. We're gonna filter, and we're gonna get rid of everything that uses that asset bundle. Well, not get rid of it, remove it from the asset bundle. So go here, press this, press none, because we changed the asset bundle's name. We don't want these under the asset bundle anymore. So we're going to make a new asset bundle. Press new and type. For me, it was Squid tutorial Squid assets. That's my bundle. So you're gonna want to go. Don't mind these errors. I'm just gonna clear them. Go over here in mod assets. If you'd like, you can just put this folder in the asset bundle. That's fine. I'm just gonna do that. Just helps ease the process. And then you go to Window, Asset Bundle Browser. Press here. Make sure everything is in the asset bundle. Looks like it is, including the prefab and the example enemy and whatnot. Press Build, and just wait for it to build. So now that the asset bundle has built. We are gonna go back to our code now, and we are gonna do Control Shift P. We're gonna do .net space build. You're gonna choose the first option. If you've used this before, you can just do Control Shift B, enter. And look, it's built the DLL because it saw that there's some code, and it saw the asset bundle in the folder. And if you see this done, mod file is copied over. It copied into mod test, my profile in Thunderstore, to a specific my mods folder. That's perfect. So next we're gonna go to our files. We're gonna find the DLL. So we're gonna go to our modeling folder. We're gonna do tutorial project, LC tutorial. We're gonna go to plugin, bin, debug, net standard, and our DLL is right here. SusieAllen.tutorialsquid.dll. That's the mod DLL. It contains all scripts. We're gonna right click, press copy, and then we're gonna go back a bit, go to the Unity project, press assets, and then press plugins, and we're gonna put the plugin right here. While we're at it, we're just gonna delete example enemies scripts because we don't use those, and then we're gonna go back to Unity, and we're gonna press and just wait for it to load the new scripts. And now our script has loaded here, so go back to Tutorial Squid, go to the prefab, and I want you to type Tutorial Squid or wherever the AI thing was called, and you're gonna find the AI, and it's gonna ask you that you don't have a network object component, so you're gonna press yes because you need a network object component, and it might open up a new file. Just do the same scene, press main, press yes, it's fine. And now you're gonna first edit the network object. You're gonna wanna add don't destroy with owner, and that's we want these settings for the network object. Next, you're gonna go on to the AI, and you're gonna start filling things out. The enemy type is this, which was the tutorial squid object. Then you don't need to touch this or this. You're gonna go creature animator. You don't have one yet, so what we're gonna do is add component animator. You're gonna add this one, and then you're gonna drag this tutorial squid animator right here, and then we're gonna go back to the here, go animator, click the prefab, just drag it, or just press this prefab, and go to creature voice, then creature sound effects, the eye, type I if you can't find it, and you don't have a sound effects or any kind, so we keep this empty. And then this is very important, your enemy will not work without this part right here. You're gonna go to your code, you're gonna scroll up, find the states. For this I have 3 states: searching for player, chasing player, zapping area. So we're gonna do this, we're gonna add 3 elements. First name is gonna be searching for player, second one is gonna be chasing player, and the third one is zapping area. It's completely fine, and you can ignore this, ignore all these. You're gonna add the agent, which was the prefab as well. Then you're gonna ignore this up till right here. You're gonna write 0.22. Then you're gonna go down, ignore these, and set an enemy HP. Let's just set 15 HP for the squid. Just gonna write 1 here for the door multiplier. You can ignore these. You can ignore the turn compass because we don't have one, or the attack area because we don't have one as well. And you're gonna go back to update position threshold and change it to 0.1. and AI interval time to 0.2. This is how fast it'll run the do AI interval function, and this is how fast it will run the update function. The rest are not for you to touch mostly, unless you, they're not for you to touch. There's settings for the game itself. They should not be part of this, but they are. So now press apply all, then go back to collision. Since you have an enemy AI now, drag in the prefab, and if you'd like it to collide with enemies as well, check this, press apply all, and then I want you to go to window, asset bundle browser. It's gonna bring up this, go configure, refresh, check your asset bundle, should have everything, perfect, press build. Now that the asset bundle has been built, we can go to our code, same thing, shift S just in case, and then you're gonna press Control Shift P, and then you're gonna go to .NET build, either press enter or press it, and you're gonna build the DLL with the Unity project bundle, and now the DLL and the bundle are in your mod test profile. So you're gonna open the Thunderstore, you can go to your mod test profile, and then you're gonna type, you're gonna go to get mods, and you're gonna get the following mods. You're gonna type, well, dev essentials, and you're gonna install this mod pack. This is made by Hamunii and CTN. A mod pack contains a few really useful mods to help test things, like press modded. And now it's launching. Just wait for it to open the game. And you can tell there was an error here. I forgot to change something. It's very common. So it tells me that plugins, my plugin's awake at line 65. I have an error. I just remembered I need to go back to the code, and I need to change some plugin code. So line 65 is this Royal Squid enemy prefab. So I go to here. There's a prefab, but it's not detecting it. So clearly it's bringing, this is getting turned into null. So look where this comes from. It comes from the assets. So it looks for Royal Squid assets, and then it tries to find the enemy type known as tutorial squid. This is actually needs to be changed. So we go to our code, and you notice it's pulling enemy type. It's pulling enemy type. So we need to change this enemy type to tutorial squid object. This is just to make it easier for me to find. So we go right here, and this is what it's looking for, tutorial squid objects. Let's just build the DLL again. So go to our code, Control Shift S to save, and then Control Shift P, and then type build. Shift P, type build. It should build it, and now it's looking for the right object. So we go back to our profile in Thunderstore and we press Smart again, and keep a lookout at the console. Check for any errors. You'll see other mods load in that aren't part of this, because I test other mods as well when I make them, such as another problem. The given argument for register network prefab is null. So let's close this and go back here and look here. The enemy prefab is null. I forgot to drag it in after I renamed it. I named it tutorial Squid just for ease of use. So we're gonna go drag the prefab here. We're gonna reload, build again. Just gonna wait for it to finish building. Now that the asset bundle is built with the enemy prefab added. So just one last thing before we open up the game again. We're gonna go back to our Unity project just to make sure I didn't forget anything. We're gonna go through them. Body, scan node. Yes, right here. Change this into tutorial Squid, because that's our Squid name. And let's change the, yeah, this is fine actually. Everything else looks to be a-okay. Alright, let's press overrides, apply all, window, asset bundle browser, build. While that's happening, let's take a look at the code again. I'm just gonna delete these since I don't need them. Whoops. And then I'm gonna just delete some useless comments. You can read these and figure out what they do. It explains a lot about what the code does. Then we scroll down, zapping area. So let's change this, instead of being public void into a public I enumerator. This means that it will we can make it run for a certain amount of time. So let's just do build return 5 seconds. Let's make the zap area last 10 seconds. And yeah, that should be fine. At the end, let's do actually I'm gonna keep this to do because I'm not gonna make the particle system now. Let's do animation point RPC. Let's change it back to start walk, and then let's do switch to behavior client RPC, searching for player. So this is so that after it finishes zapping, it goes back to walking and searching for a player. When you're searching for a player, it'll again check if there's a player nearby and do its whole thing again. And yeah, you can make it more complex if you'd like, but this is just for my enemy. That's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna actually do one more thing. I'm gonna go to the animator because we don't have any animations done. This is all example enemies animations. We're gonna get rid of swing attack. We're gonna get rid of kill enemy. And just expand this a bit. We're gonna do plus triggers. I'm only dealing with triggers for this tutorial. And we're gonna do start zap. We're gonna do stop zap. We can also add start chase and stop chase. This way, the first day, then we'll start modifying the animator. The Little Wiki has a comprehensive guide on how to mess with this properly. We're just gonna follow this loosely as it is an example enemy. We're gonna change this condition to actually, we're gonna make another trigger called start death. This is when our enemy dies, it should go to this animation. Let's just call it death animation. And I don't have any actual animations here, so we're just gonna leave as it is. Speaking of the animations, let's go back to the model. Let's take our animations. There's 2 animations. I'm gonna copy, paste them, and I'm gonna drag them to animations. These are the walk and the reverse walk. You can view the animation if you click on this and then click reverse walk. This sets them back as they are, and this makes them move behind it, which were the animations we made earlier. And then close this, and you can keep this empty because there's nothing there. But this arrow needs to have a condition. or an exit time, either an exit time or a condition. This error is because there's no animation here. You can ignore that. Let's change this to spawn animation. We don't have spawn animation, so actually not spawn animation. Let's just do walk animation, where it's gonna be what is it? Tentacle walk. Is that the one in animations? Yes, tentacle walk. Just give it a speed of 1. This is how fast the animation runs. Actually, let's give it a speed of 2, so it transitions fast. And then we're gonna call this chase player animation. Let's just call it chase animation. And we're gonna give this to actually no, we're not gonna give it like that. We're gonna keep it as it is because there is no chase animation. This is gonna be no idle animation. Yes, I forgot. The chase animation is not needed because we only need the walk animation, and that's it. Because the walk animation just moves the tentacles, and then the speed doesn't matter because I'm not going that detailed with animations. It's just a basic tutorial. So this is going to be an idle animation where it just reverses the walk. That's it. It is just going to be, then you can configure this for the animation. If you press run, you can see what it does. If you want to go from walk to idle, you should really be doing this, so that there's almost like no hints of the walk. So now if you look at it, it's just going to a normal position, and this is the opposite. So you can do this and this. It's gonna go from idle, which is base, to walk, and you are gonna give these triggers. You don't want to start walk, perfect, and then you're gonna make this stop walk. You could also alternatively make a start idle if you'd like. I'm just gonna do stop walk to go from walk to this. And here this means that when the enemy is spawned, it should start the walk animation by default, because this is the entry, is how it starts. So it's gonna move its tentacles and start walking around unless I did an idle animation, but I'm not. So let's just do override, asset bundle browser, build assets, and let's go back to our code. And it starts off with it ends. Yeah, let's go here. Start walk when it spawns in. I don't believe we need this because it's the entry. It always starts with the first thing in the entry, but since let's just do it anyway since it's a client RPC, so make sure our clients know what's happening. And then I don't actually have an idle state here. I can add it later, but then I'll have to edit the Unity project, and it's fine to not have an idle animation. Just make it walk around continuously. The chasing state doesn't change the animation. All it does is make the tentacle monster faster. And let's change this a bit to be 4, just to make things faster. 4 times 2. That's fine. So the total speed is now 8 when it's chasing. And just checking the code one more time. Oh yeah, actually we are gonna be using the zap. We are gonna be using the stop walk when it zaps. I want it to go back. I want its tentacles to go back into an idle state. So when it collides with the player, instead of doing start zap, let's do stop walk. Because I don't actually have any zap animations in here. It's just a very simple system. So we're gonna do this, and we're gonna go back to the code and start walk. Yeah, it looks fine. We're gonna Control S to save it, Control Shift P, build, and then we're gonna go to our Thunderstore profile and we're gonna start it. Console in my other monitor and the game in my first monitor. So this is the level that we get from the mods we installed earlier, the Dev Essentials, and we're gonna go to enemy type, whether it's inside, outside, or daytime, whatever you set, and then you're gonna find your enemy. There it is, tutorial squid. We're gonna spawn the creature. The console tells me it's been spawned correctly and the animation started, so we're gonna go inside the level and we're gonna try to find our enemy. Oh, that is huge. So you can tell it actually hit me and it stopped walking because it collided with me, and now it's just paused. It's doing nothing. I believe it's acting like it's zapping for 10 seconds, and then it should stop moving again shortly. Just gotta give it a bit more time. Alternatively, it could just be a bug in my code where it doesn't go back to walking. I believe that's the case. So just in case, I'll wait a few more seconds. Nope, it seems to be a problem in my code I need to fix. We're gonna go to code, and actually we're gonna add some new stuff. We're gonna do yield return view wait for seconds. I was planning on running this function through the animation, but I don't have a zapping animation, so I'm just gonna run it every 2 seconds. Just run it every 2 seconds. Yeah. Actually, this copy. Yep. Let's get rid of this, and let's just take this here and get rid of this, and let's go back to our collide code. If player control B is not null, you need to stop walk, you need to stop zap area, but you also need to start the coroutine for the zap area. The zap area, because it's an I enumerator, this is how we call it. We start coroutine. Just be careful that you make it make sure that it's not already in the zapping state, because it can collide with the player. Right now it can collide with the player, run this code, and keep running it over and over again. So it would be running this code multiple times, even though it only needs it to run once after colliding with the player. So we're gonna make sure that the current state behavior state is not equal to state. Actually, no, it's integer state here, dot zapping area. Oh yeah, not state, index. So the current behavior state index is not equal to the zapping area. That means that it's only gonna do this when it's either searching for the player or chasing for the player. Alternatively, we could just change this to make sure that it only does this when chasing the player, which might be better. Change this, change to chasing player. That way it only changes to this state when it's chasing a player. Alright. You could also add some code for the enemy. Public override void on collide with enemy. This. Alright, and now that we have this function, we go the same thing. If collided enemy is not equal to null, you keep the base, by the way, you don't remove this. And you also check the state, and this symbol means and current behavior student is not chasing player. Let's do it wandering. No, not wandering, searching for player. This way, actually, let's change it. Let's change both of these conditions, because since I'm checking for the player and the enemy, I need to make sure that it doesn't enter a zapping state after hitting a player and then after hitting an enemy, because that could get messy. So let's do if the state is not the zapping area. That will be our new condition for both of them. Should work just fine. And then let's just swap some code around. Put this right here. Put this right here. And let's copy this code and put it right here. That should be fine because it starts the coroutine. At the end, let's also just stop coroutine zap area. Like that. let's build the DLL. By now the asset bundle has already been built, and now we built the DLL, no errors. Let's open our mod profile, and now the enemy should work as intended actually. Complete inside. Let's look for it. Is it the right size? Nope, it's still not the right size. But now, oh, it started zapping, and yeah, it's damaging me every 2 seconds actually. I think I set it to, yeah, the function name was not indicative, but yep, it was starting targeting me. Let's just run away. Did it collide with me? Nope, it didn't. Now it should be okay actually. Now we just have to fix the size issue. So let's go to, where is it? Unity project. I thought I fixed it by changing the body, but I guess not. Maybe now I just it seemed like everything was actually 10 times bigger than it should be, so I changed the scale right here to just be 10 times less. Nav mesh also, if you can tell, this cylinder is a nav mesh. I'm gonna bring it a bit down by changing this. Go to humanoid, open agent settings. Actually no, it should be an offset right here. -1. Nope. We're gonna do 4. We're gonna do until it reaches the ground right here. 5. Very close. Let's try 6. Nope. Let's do 5.5. And that's fine. It's just a bit more. 5.566. Should 5.7. Alright. Yeah, I keep increasing. That's fine. They should be fine. And yeah, it's not center, but it should be okay. Now let's override, apply asset bundle browser, build the asset again. It's just an arduous process, doing the exact same thing over and over again, hoping what you change fixes it. I'm not too sure. Alright, the asset bundle built. So we're gonna go to the code, Control S, Control Shift P, build. We're gonna do modded. Let's spawn my enemy. Looks like it spawned fine. Let's go inside. Let's hope it works. Oh, it seems to be a bit smaller. Actually, I kind of like the size. It's really cute. So I'm gonna keep it this size. But yeah, you're just gonna have to mess and play around with the size and get what you want. It seems like the transform controls the size. Oh. Oh. Alright. Yeah, it's trying to open the door now. There we go, it opened it. I'm not too sure what it looked like it was phasing through the door to actually open it. And look, you can change stuff like, oh, never mind, yeah, it caught me. And now it's gonna damage me 5 times it should. 4, 5, and now it should start chasing me again. Yep. I'm gonna also spawn a UP bug, so that to make sure that if it collides with the UP bug, it does actually stop. Oh, oops, I went too far. Ah, dang it, collided me. Oh, it's it moved around. It should, yeah. Where's the EP bug? There it is. Come right here. Come on. Come here. Collide with the EP bug. It's really hard to get it to collide. It might not work. My code might not be working as intended. I might have messed something up. Oh, and the EP bug was coming. How about we do a crawler, which will actually chase me properly. And that'll be easier to test. Where's the crawler? There's a crawler. I'm not gonna die in this mode, so it should be fine. Oh yeah, see, it hit the enemy, and it does actually start zapping and works. Alright, I'm gonna close the game now. My logs being spammed with target player B logs from the other enemies. Close the game. And yeah, other than a few minor things like adding a particle system for the zap attack, everything seems to be working just fine. This is the end of the tutorial. I have managed to add my enemy, give it sound stuff. I don't have any actual clips to play, but yeah. Oh, don't forget to also turn off play on awaken loop. And yeah, this is the anime tutorial completely finished with all 3 parts, which are the Unity project, the code, and the Blender animation stuff. I hope this tutorial is helpful, and leave a comment if you like it, or leave a like and let me know what you think. Alright, thank you, bye.